Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2005 Nissan Sentra. Up front is a 1.8 liter inline 4, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Nissan Sentra for two reasons. First of all, I always love driving normal average traffic from 20 plus years ago. And this is it. This was an average basic car that your grandma or grandpa would drive to bingo. That's actually what this vehicle was. This was owned by the current owner's grandparents. But the second reason is the fact that I've driven the high performance version of this generation of Sentra, the SER Spec V. That was an extremely low mileage car. It was a beautiful example. And so today we're going to be taking a look at the other half of the spectrum. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackbradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that inline 4 under the hood, displacing 1.8 liters. Well, that was the standard engine here, and it is absolutely nothing to brag about. Now, it is pretty rev happy, revving all the way to 6,500 RPM, and it'll happily take a beating. The owners described this car as a mountain goat. Anything you ask it to do, it'll do it. Might not be happy, but it'll do it. And it's the same with that engine. It's the little 4-banger that could, and even revving it out here today in the heat, it's fine to do it. It's buzzy enough. I would have loved if this had the manual transmission, but it unfortunately does not. Like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic. It's fine. It's doing the job. It doesn't help the sportiness at all. This feels like a relatively sporty chassis, but the transmission certainly hurts that. Last but not least, the Sentra is, of course, front-wheel drive. So how does it feel to drive the 2005 Nissan Sentra? Well, it's not quite as spry or zippy as the SER Spec V. However, it's relatively athletic. You could feel this car's a lot lighter than its modern counterpart. It's a little bit more nimble on its feet. It kind of dances on the balls of its feet rather than flat-footing it. It kind of has a little bit of enthusiasm to it. Now, it's not going to blow you out of the water. It's no Michael Phelps, but it will do the job, and it's honestly not terrible about it. This is when economy cars did have a little bit of pep in their step, and they weren't all about fuel economy. There was, sure, some type of fuel economy, but not all about fuel economy. Here we go. It's answering the call. You know, it's not leaving me on red. It's just maybe waiting a ring or two. That's okay. I'm fine with that. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 physical gauges. Off to the left is fuel and speedometer, and off to the right is my tachometer and coolant temperature. On the steering wheel, we do get our cruise control options, but that's it. And off to the left, we have a climate vent, gauge dimmer switch, trunk release, and our power mirror adjustments. Moving on to the door, we do have our latch to get in and out, power locks, and power windows. And moving into the center, we do get a little storage cubby up at the top of the dash, hazard switch surrounded by climate vents, and the radio CD player. Very nice for '05 in a basic car like this. We have favorites, skip track, clock, things like that. And then down below, we have the climate controls. Temperature off to the left, fan speed in the center, where to send it off to the right. We do get a little cubby, a cigarette lighter, and cup holders, so we'll do a big friggin' bottle test. However, very, very predictably, it unfortunately fails the big friggin' bottle test. Then we do have the shifter. Nothing really too interesting or unique about the shifter. It works. I guess I do like the fact that it has these like sort of windows showing you which gear you're going into with this orange indicator. I like that. Handbrake, center console, and the seats. The seats are cloth. Again, nothing to brag about. This was a simple car, and they do the job. They are manual, as to be expected. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so I'm in the back of the 2005 Nissan Sentra, and a couple of things to note. First of all, it is pretty crammed back here. It's not great. You also found this in the Civic of the era. That's just part of economy cars. They've really learned how to maximize packaging here in 2025. So like the current Civic, the current Sentra, the current Corolla actually have manageable back seats. These are a lot smaller. So that is a downside. No center console again to save money. I do have pop-out cup holders, but no climate vents. We still get power windows back here. So nice to see all of that back in 05, but otherwise it's a very simple back seat. I don't even get seat back pockets on the front seats. So not a whole ton of features back here, but that's okay. That wasn't the name of the game. The name of the game was to save you money and get you a vehicle for new for not that much cash. So I think they nailed it in that regard, but in terms of spaciousness, less so. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, around the back of the Nissan Sentra, we do have a key here. However, unlike the Civic, we do have a press and hold to pop the trunk, although it seems to not want to work today, so we're gonna have to go old-fashioned with this. Once we are back here, just like the back seats, no interesting switches, buttons, or dials except for these. So you can actually pull this to lower the rear seats. It does have a 60-40 split pass-through, and you can actually lower it from back here. So that is very nice to see. However, other than that, nothing too crazy. Coming down here, we do have a spare tire and a cardboard liner that seems to have given up in the last 20 years. But that's okay. That is the trunk of the Nissan Sentra. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I've always been kind of a fan of this generation of Sentra. I think it's sculpted relatively well, I think it's handsome, and I think it's proportioned very well. It's not in your face, it's not bragging, it's not, you know, trying to overthrow a government, it's just a little Sentra, and so I think it looks the part. I think a lot of modern economy cars try to adapt that very angry, very emotional styling. This is pretty emotionally stable, which is nice to see out of an automobile. However, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Nissan Sentra from 2005? Well, I like parts of it and I don't like others. The downsides are clear. This does not have the build quality that Honda or Toyota was offering in this era. I've driven the Corolla and Corolla S from this era. I've driven the Honda Civic from this era. Even the Mazda 3. Actually, no, the Mazda 3 didn't have great build quality then. So really the Honda and Toyota blew Nissan out of the water when it came to fit and finish. However, on the upside, it is more fun to drive than a base model Civic, not a Civic Si or something like that, but a base model Civic, this is a little bit more fun to drive, a little bit more fun to ring out. The chassis feels a little bit better, especially compared to the EM2 Civic that was available at the time. I, funny enough, also drove one of those the same day I drove this. So I like driving the Sentra more than the Civic. But do I really want to put all of my eggs into the Nissan basket? I don't know. I'm not sure I'm ready for that. But it looks good, it's decent to drive, and I've driven them with a stick shift. They're so much more fun to drive with the stick. They really, really liven up and become a fun little backcountry ripper. But this, well, less so. And honestly, this is the most grandpa spec Sentra you could think of. Tan on tan, on tan on tan. So here it is, 2005 Nissan Sentra. It most certainly is a car. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Dayton and Nevada for letting me borrow their Nissan Sentra. They've been absolutely wonderful to work with. I also drove Nevada's new Nissan Sentra, and I have a comparison video out on the channel of this car and that car. So if you'd like to see some of the differences that have changed in the last 20 years, definitely go check that out. They have been wonderful to work with, and I appreciate them very, very much. But I appreciate you guys watching the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.